Hello, everyone. Welcome back to At the Buzzer. I'm joined by Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Brian. It's just like the trade madness. I think it's
Yeah,
finally got to me. Luca wasn't somehow Luca didn't do it. It's like and Mark Williams. I was just like, man, this is insane.
yeah. So
Crazy trade. Yeah,
in our group chat with Jack, you were pretty fired up about Mark Williams being traded to the Lakers.
that's what did
Uh,
it. Yeah,
that's what did it. It wasn't Luca. It was
Luka,
Mark
yeah.
Williams. Well, tell me about that. So tell me about the trade, and then tell me why you were so fired up over it.
So Mark Williams is a pretty good classic center with a lot with like upside for kind of to be just like a modern center who can move. Who can be solid on both the ends, potentially multiple positions. I want to say he's nearly 7 feet in 25 minutes. Some issues with injury, but like not in so much of a sense of like to a Rob Williams extent. Kind of similar upside to someone like that, but less of just like a defensive focus and just overall. I mean, in 25 minutes this year, he's averaging 16 points and 10 rebounds. I mean, you project that to like playing 30 minutes and playing with Luca and LeBron. I mean, that's like a 20 point, like 12 rebound guy, which those are big numbers for a center, right? Um, they he got traded for I think is it Dalton Knecht and Cam Reddish, who Cam Reddish is one of those guys he has a flash or two, and you're like, oh, he probably a really good player. He probably is, but he doesn't really do anything in the NBA. It's been going on for years, so he's not of high value. Dalton Knecht, cool player. I'd have to look at his stats. I think he's been starting on LA. He's a rookie. Uh, he's definitely going to be a good career NBA player, but I just don't see the trade for Mark Williams, especially with the stuff Charlotte has and like having Brandon Miller and Bridges. I just don't see after trading Nick Richards to the Suns a little before all of this stuff happened. I just feel like people are giving the Lakers shit for free now. Like we knew they really needed a center, and they were like, oh, there's no market. And then they get like a guy who I would just think there's like, there's like these weird players where it's almost like who's a good example? Like, I don't know, just certain guys. It's like, oh, you want to offer me like Cade Cunningham and 2 first-round picks for this guy who's like an eighth man, got drafted 2 years ago in the lottery, but has like a 6'8" wingspan. No way. I like his upside.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what Mark Williams has proven. But that's like what he just feels to me like you'd be like, Luca. All right, what else? What do you got? Like not quite Luca, but like it's like that kind of a thing. I just thought he was kind of an off limits guy, and we said Dalton. That's been pretty, I guess, electric. Uh, Seems like something you would say to describe like Austin Reeves play. Like
Yeah, right.
someone would use like just without even like watching, like, oh, white guy in the Lakers. Yeah, he's pretty
Yeah.
electric.
Pretty electric. Yeah. He brings the scrappy can do, hard nosed attitude to the squad.
Well, he does have a little bit of that, and he's a good shooter. I mean, he's just a really solid overall player. I don't know if he was on Tennessee last year and he like carried their offense.
Hmm.
I think good player, but yeah, the Lakers. If Luka's healthy, I don't. Um, yeah, it kind of feels to me like the Lakers are just kind of going under the table and being like, "Hey, some of you guys probably fucking hate the Celtics, right? Like, they're good.
Hmm.
Do you want them to be the best dynasty ever? Give us your stuff, and we'll take a crack at them. We still got LeBron." Um, but stuff like this happens to the Celtics too. The Drew Holiday trade, looking back, was a little broken.
It's insane.
I don't think as broken as this one, but it definitely didn't make sense.
No.
Um, it seemed to fall in our lap, kind of like this stuff seemed to fall in LA's lap, So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how it all plays out. I think Mark Williams, I'd have to really like deep dive a little bit, but I think he's gonna be like a perfect fit with Luca, just on like how Luca has always worked with like centers on pick and rolls. I think he's gonna get a very easy like 20 points a game with him, just like
Mhm.
dominate the paint um, on offense. Yeah, I think if they're all healthy, it makes them more of a threat. We're gonna have to see how it pays off. It's also just very notable that the Lakers didn't lose Rui Hachimura or like Austin Reeves.
Mm,
Um, right, and they kept some other pieces they've acquired recently that can now be more bench pieces. Like I can't think of his name, the guy on the Pelicans who's been playing kind of some center for them. Like, now he can go back to just playing off the bench.
mhm.
Uh, yeah, I think it's also making Rob Pelinka, looking like a wizard that I don't know that he is. Though he has done some more. He has made some decent moves in the past couple of years.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he's probably did he do an executive of the year award in the NBA? I'm sure.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, who probably is a shoe-in
Well,
for it.
got to see how it plays out, but yeah,
Right.
probably.
Yeah. Just
So
the
like,
Luka trade.
or maybe like the Spurs, like just in the
Yeah.
sense if it works with Fox, that could be very quick too.
Mhm.
That's like a younger team. And again, the exact well, I guess you have to get, but it again, I, the Luca trade again, it was like kind of just one of those ones for me. It was like, okay, that's ridiculous, but like, I don't know, whatever. But like, then it's like the smaller trades that you're just like, man, um, yeah, it seems kind of broken. Like, I don't. You want to give credit to Rob Pelinka, like, and definitely a boss move. Like, he got the pick with it, like that. Like, it was like, right, there was that extra pick in. It's like, instead of being like, yeah, I'm going to give you all of this for Luca, right? It's like he's like, no, you know what? F you, you're going to give me a pick.
Yeah, you're gonna get right. Yeah, we'll have to see, and, this obviously answers the question we had of, like, who's gonna be the center for this Lakers team, so
Yeah, and
I
like I
guess,
said, better than you could have ever imagined for, I think, really great acquisition. Like, probably there's some other guys, like one of the best young centers in basketball. I thought he would have been kind of off limits trade wise.
mhm,
I think it's gonna, yeah, with Luca, like that's a key piece next to Luca, and it's not just for this year to like build the Lakers down the road.
yeah, no, that makes sense. So there's another trade that you wanted
Mhm.
to talk about, can let me know about that one.
Yeah, so I looked. It was Karis LeVert on the Cavaliers, and I think 3 second-round picks. You can
Mhm,
double check it for me if you like. I saw very quickly for DeAndre Hunter on the Atlanta Hawks, who I think is coming off the bench a lot, averaging like 20 points a game. So as we know, the Cavs are like the best team in the league right now for this year, and they get DeAndre Hunter, who is kind of almost a similar prototype to Karis LeVert, but less of like an off the bench ball handler, though he can do that, and more of the focus on just like um, very good shooter, multiple level scorer. There's always been a lot of defensive upside on him, which I don't know that I buy 100%, but I think it definitely upgrades them, especially with some of the shooting troubles they have with their bigs. To bring Hunter in, I think it's a huge boost for them. Yeah, and it could be enough to like kind of put them over the edge and give them some help in the playoffs.
makes sense, yeah, after losing to the Celtics last week, maybe they're like, "Alright, we need one more piece here."
Yeah, potentially. And I mean, the Hawks obviously are kind of blowing up right now. Jalen Johnson's injured. I had heard they were going to trade Bogdanovich. I think maybe they were holding out on this guy, Hunter, but he's really like blossomed off this year, and like might as well. There didn't seem to be a spot for him in the starting lineup with Trey. Again, he kind of made more sense for him to be a guy who just scores a bunch of points coming off the bench a lot. Um, so yeah, we'll see how he fits with the Cavs. I think
So
they'll either
here's
start him.
we got breaking news, Ryan.
Mhm. Oh, of course.
Bogdanovich traded to the Clippers.
Hmm.
So,
The
let's
Clippers are kind of
see.
a fun team because Norm Powell is like a guard on their team who's like, I think he's like 31, 32. He's like been putting up all-star numbers on the Clippers. next to Harden, who's been a really good like point guard, and then it's like now they're just going to add Bogdanovich. Like Bogdanovich is just a guy like you see him if you're like the Olympics and he's Jokic is out and he's in Serbia. You're like, oh yeah, this dude's going to fucking ball his ass off. Like he'll just put up 25 points. You're talking Bogdanovich on the Hawks, right?
Yeah. So here's Sham's tweet. The Los Angeles Clippers are trading Terrence Mann and Bones Highland to the Atlanta Hawks for Bogdan Bogdanovic and 3 second-round picks.
Actually, I think Terrence Mann is one of those guys who people would be like, "Oh, Terrence Mann, you're gonna have to give me like, yeah, like, I mean, he's only 26, and like that kind of a thing. But
Yeah.
Terrence Mann, that's interesting. And then Bones Highland, I mean, I think that's a kind of a good pick for them. It gives them, they're just kind of fun, and like Zubac on the Clippers is really good if you know him, the center. Big European center, plays his ass off. Yeah, they could be a fun team. It's interesting enough. Bones Highland, if you remember, was really was like a really fun guard on the Nuggets, mostly coming off the bench, and then he started to say, "I don't really think me and like Jokic vibe." And people are kind of like, "Well, we're going to assume that's a you problem if you can't really play with Jokic." And since then, he's just kind of been a bench piece who's slowly been fading.
Right. And so we have, at the time of recording, 14 minutes till the trade deadline. Do you think Kevin Durant gets traded? That's
Probably.
the other big one that's going around right now.
I've heard about that. Probably not. No.
Yeah.
The Warriors obviously probably don't have really room for that. Unless they trade like Jonathan Kuminga, which I don't really see. They've really held on to him, and I don't really see like, I don't know, the Suns. That doesn't really seem to be their thing right now. So like, even if you are big on him, like picking up potential talent down the road and thinking in the long term. So I don't see it, but who knows, right? Like it's been a pretty wild trade deadline. I think there's probably some other small trades we missed too.
Here's another one. We got 2 more, Ryan. They're coming in hot. I think we're going to stay on till 3. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, so yeah, let's do it because that's insane. Last year, I swear I could be wrong, but I feel like, yeah, like I think this year there's been a little bit, I haven't been quite, oddly enough, I haven't been quite as locked in as where in the past, I usually will be like the last, like, even if I'm anywhere I am, the last like 10 minutes, I'm locked in trying to figure out who's getting traded. And I feel like a lot of times stuff doesn't happen that last 10 minutes, but.
Yeah. So here we got the Atlanta Hawks are trading Cody Zeller in Houston's 2028 second-round pick to the Rockets. Thoughts on Cody Zeller to the Rockets?
Not particularly.
Not really. No, that's okay.
Yeah, he plays hard. He's older. Yeah, he's kind of someone you'd almost like kind of put him in the same class as like Mason Plumlee, older center, but even like is less so playable now. No, I don't really. No, but
yeah. All right. Detroit is acquiring Dennis Schroeder from the Utah Jazz.
Schroeder. So Schroeder's gone from the Heat to the Jazz to Detroit.
Yep.
I kind of like the idea of Schroeder on the Heat for some reason. But Detroit seems just as yeah, I guess so. Just as good of a spot for him to put up his empty numbers. Hopefully he's a backup for Cade.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see if we missed anything else. DeAndre Hunter. The Phoenix Suns are trading Yusuf Nurkic in a 2026 first-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Martin, Vasilije Micic in a 2026 second-round pick. Any thoughts on that one?
I don't hate that for actually the Suns. In the sense of just like they got Nick Richard, they were pretty off Yusuf Nurkic, and yeah, I think he's a tough play at this point. But I guess it makes perfect sense for the Hornets in this Lakers narrative, right? It's like, oh, why did we get rid of Mark Williams for fucking 35-year-old Yusuf Nurkic. That's our guy.
Of
Makes perfect
course.
sense. Yeah, yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Oh man. All right. Milwaukee's trading Patrick Baldwin Jr. and cash to San Antonio. Does that move you at all?
No.
No.
I
The
think
Toronto
Patrick Baldwin Jr. They acquired probably from the Wizards and that did we touch on that? The Kuzma for Middleton trade? That was kind of interesting yesterday. The
I
Bucks got
think Jack and I talked a little, but please, like, if you got some thoughts on it, let me know.
not too much. I've never been the biggest Kyle Kuzma fan in the sense that I just always got the vibe that he like him and Jordan Poole seemed like a perfect fit for Washington at that time. I feel like he loved putting up those numbers. It's going to be interesting to see him back in a role where, he's very much going to be uh, delegated to playing a role off like some very heliocentric players. Be interesting to see with that. I guess Middleton and how he's presented lately is not a bad guy for Washington to have to tank through the year and maybe have a veteran presence for some younger guys.
All right. So Toronto Raptors are trading Davion Mitchell to the Miami Heat for PJ Tucker. Did we talk about that at all?
No, we didn't talk about that. I kind of figured the Raptors were off on Davion Mitchell. They have one of those young guys from Houston, the college, one of those young guards that I think they're looking to slot in the long term. So it kind of makes sense they would move off of Davion Mitchell, kind of like a defense first guard that hasn't quite panned out. And then they get PJ Tucker. I'm not sure how much that moves them, but I like PJ Tucker. I respect his grind,
Right. All right. Let's see. Let's do a refresh right now. Who we got? Shams. All right. Nothing new to report since Dennis Schroeder going to the Utah Jazz. Do we want to talk about just like
he went to the Utah Jazz? I thought he went from the Utah Jazz.
Sorry, yes, from the Utah Jazz. You were correct.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to Utah yesterday. Right?
I like the idea of like someone like Shooter on the Jazz, but they have so many guards that just like put up tons of points. It wouldn't make sense.
That makes sense. Do you want to kind of, just put into context, how like crazy is this trade deadline compared to a normal one? Even putting like Luka aside, I don't know if you can really, but
yeah, well, 3 major stars, including Luka, but like De'Aaron Fox. He's the guy on Sacramento. I would say he's probably their number one, even over Sabonis. The guy they were kind of building their franchise around. We know with Jimmy Butler, him to the Warriors. It's very interesting. And getting off of Wiggins. I don't hate it for them. I feel like I think it was their last resort, but I think it was one of them where they were like, all right, this is pretty much what we're going to try to do. See if we can make a playoff run this year. But they're going to, he's going to have to play in the regular season. I'm sure you and Jack talked about it yesterday because like they're really bad, like with even with Steph. So like if Jimmy can't just like waltz in, unless I'd have to look where they are in the standings right now, unless it's like a play-in thing. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, do you think like it makes them a legit title contender with Jimmy there now?
So here's the thing: is like when I look at the basketball fit, how it plays out. No, not really. But what it comes down to is, you just look at Steph and Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, and they're just 2 motherfuckers that can make stuff happen, right? So when you think of those 2 in the playoffs together, in that sense, it's like, well, if they make the run, yeah, that could be scary. But as a basketball fan, no, because I'd have to pull up the numbers to be comparative. But Wiggins is definitely a more reliable shooter than Butler. The thing with Wiggins is he can kind of, especially in in more recent times, he can kind of be on and off, hot and cold. But I feel like there's some reliable, Wiggins is someone who is supposed to be a star. Um, there's some like reliable, like kind of like role player stuff he does that like, Jimmy obviously is like a grind set type guy when he plays in theory, but like I just feel like there's some stuff they're hoping Wiggins did as where now they're just going more for another star player, and you just need him. This isn't a team where you can just have him do that. Just have him get buckets at the end of the game. He has to be able to do everything all the time when he's playing.
How do you think he'll do with the team makeup there?
Oh, Draymond. I didn't even think of that.
That's exactly what I was implying. Yeah. Because there were a lot of memes when the trade happened of like Jimmy and Draymond after their first practice, and it's just two guys fighting.
It's just like, have you ever seen that John C? It's like a meme of like John C. Riley from Talladega Nights. It's like we're like cocaine and waffles. Yeah. And it's like too taut, right? I feel like that's like the two of them basically.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, no more punches being thrown. Or we'll have to sit through another year of Draymond explaining the situation and
it might be
putting
one where
on podcasts about it.
Honestly, they might do it, and then they might have like, like then it might be like, "I love you, man." Like,
Yeah, yes, that'll bond
yeah,
them.
and like the intense like handshake, and then
that will be what sends them to a championship is that. Okay, a couple more trades here. The Memphis Grizzlies are trading Marcus Smart in a 2025 first-round pick to the
wow.
Washington Wizards in a multi-team trade that sends 2 second-round picks to Memphis.
Anything else
For that one, nothing for that one.
defense?
Thoughts? Nope, no
Oh,
players.
so Memphis just got off. It's kind of rough in the sense of Memphis just kind of got off of Marcus Smart. Makes sense. Like I said, that was a really crazy trade we were able to pull, at the height of Marcus Smart's career. Like I said, I haven't been following him a ton of Memphis, but he still plays hard, plays well, but like his body is definitely breaking down on him. That's too bad. I think Memphis is a really fun team right now. So I was wondering if they were going to make a play for something, but maybe they're just making room for something else, because I got to think just to get rid of Marcus Smart, I would think they want something else. Some sort of defensive guard. I mean, they got Bane. They've got Bane, Jalen Wells, who they drafted, has been really good. So I guess maybe it's just like, hey, do we kind of just need room for all of these guys to play?
Yeah. All right. Los Angeles Clippers are trading Kevin Porter Jr. to Milwaukee Bucks for Marjon Beauchamp.
Oh man. Well, what's interesting about that is I'm just imagining, I don't know if you remember Kevin Porter Jr. on the Rockets. Emptiest 20 points, less than 5 rebounds I've ever seen. And now you have him and Gary Trent Jr. If you remember him, just that's like, just you can get 50 empty ass like ISO points that probably cost you so many other things, but look kind of cool off the bench. So that's pretty interesting. Quite a cast of characters in Porter, Trent, and Kyle Kuzma. For sure, that's going to be interesting. And again, it's like I love. Obviously, we love Lillard, but I'm just seeing a lot of guys that are putting up points. Probably not a lot of defense. So,
oh man, I want to know who is the guy making the graphics so quick for Shams. But that guy's like, we're chilling, we're relaxing, we're letting Shams tweet the news to us. That guy must be getting yelled at. So be like, go faster, I gotta get this tweet out right now.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, right.
It has to be stressful. So if you're out there, you're listening after the fact, we appreciate everything you're doing for us, so that we can be relaxed and just regurgitate the news.
Yeah, and to backtrack on the Bucks thing, I poke fun, but I always think with these guys like Kevin Porter Jr., like people very quickly get into these things with these guys. I get kind of known for some of their like questionable basketball decisions, like in terms of a professional level. A very talented player and a guy who can put up numbers. I mean, it's an acquisition for them for sure. It gives them, yeah, it's going to give them a little more offensive oomph, which they definitely could use.
Mhm.
They're just kind of
Nice.
filling in with smaller pieces, which is a little different than the Warriors approach or some of these other approaches we're seeing.
All right, we are at 3 o'clock, so trade deadline's closed. We'll stay on a couple more minutes,
All
see
right.
if any last second stuff comes through. But this is fun. I'm glad we decided to do this.
Me as well.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, it's
it
huge.
worked out really well timing wise.
We
So
still
now we're
there's
gonna get
still
all these out there like immediately.
yeah, yeah, and there's still the buyout.
That's true.
So yeah, there might be some stuff there. Who knows? Usually there's like a couple like you're just like, oh yeah, there's that.
Right.
Right. We'll see. Maybe the Grizzlies are making room for that. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Well, in the tweet about Marcus Smart, it said that this is like to provide them flexibility
Yeah,
with their roster. So it could be
yeah, and
some,
again, it's
I mean, because like Ja hasn't been healthy, or his minutes have been pretty limited this year, right?
yes,
Coming
yes,
back from the injury, so
but he's starting to look like old Ja. And what is scariest about Ja is even at the beginning of the season, right? You're kind of like, oh, he doesn't have the spring in his step like he used to, but it's like you kind of forget he's also just like an amazing point guard and like so crafty. And it's like, man, you add his crazy athleticism into this. It's just absolutely insane. And then he has the dunk on Wemby. I mean, yeah, I think we're being reminded that Jawad can be like he can be as dynamic as any player in the league right now. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is having a very good season. Saul defensively is doing a little more facilitating, like running the offense. When Jaw's out, and then Desmond Bain, I think, has been very, is just a solid player and a guy who is a big thing is he went from like last year when Jaw wasn't playing to taking showing he can bear a lot of those minutes and heavy usage and then go off of it and be more of a complementary player to Jaw, which is that's a huge asset as a second or third star.
right. You're gonna say the scariest thing about him is when you get a notification that he's on Instagram Live.
Oh, hey, it's been like a year, man.
It's been a year. It's been a year. Yeah, he's been he's been all right since then.
Yeah, the gun one was kind of crazy. It was just kind of like if you just kind of have someone in your life that it's like they're acting out for attention almost manically, like
Right.
where it was just like, what is he? It's like 1 p.m. on a Sunday, man. Why are you in a car waving a gun right now? It's just
Yeah,
insane.
it wasn't a good look. That's for sure. I don't
No,
know if Sham's Twitter account is like crashing because so many people are on it right now. Right now, it's displaying the Indiana Pacers are trading James Wiseman and cash to Toronto.
uh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
James Wiseman. I mean, I'm honestly surprised he's still in the NBA currently. I don't mean that. He was just moved around a lot. And I don't know if you remember him. He was, I think was he the second overall pick in the Anthony Edwards draft? And he he was a big part of the Warriors, like 2 timelines with
mhm.
Kuminga and Moody.
Yeah, second overall pick in 2020 behind Anthony Edwards and before LaMelo Ball.
Yeah, and he's on the Pistons. I mean, he's just been kind of everywhere. And he just seems kind of like a guy who's destined to grow in Euro ball.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Golden State Warriors 2020 to 2023, including a stint with the Santa Cruz Warriors, which I assume is their D League team, and then yeah, Pistons, and now uh where do we say he go? Now he's on the Raptors after the Pacers. So Not what you want from a second overall pick, that's for sure.
No, but like I said, kind of impressive. He's still going. So
That's true. That's true. All right. 3:05. I think that might wrap up the
yeah,
trade deadline stuff.
it's been a fun
Um,
one though. Pretty good.
oh, this is great. This was so fun. And then yeah, Shams retweeted his own appearance on ESPN saying that Suns are not moving Kevin Durant. So
Yeah,
that answers that question.
I didn't think so. I couldn't see it. It would be exciting for
It
sure.
would definitely be exciting, but you know, maybe I don't know. The Suns are kind of in a bad spot. I feel like long
Well,
term.
yeah, and just how that GM has seemed to operate, he's gonna want some pretty pivotal pieces for like a Kevin Durant type, and I don't think he's gonna be super like honed in on like younger pieces that are kind of maybe. I mean, why would yeah? It would, there's really not much besides that. I think that to make the trade work. Um,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me through the trade deadline. This last half hour felt like it was like so rapid fire, so fun. As I said to Jack yesterday, the NFL misses out on this because they do not trade players very much. It's like a once every couple years that a trade of any magnitude happens. And I
yeah,
think it's just like the primes are so short for NFL players. Like no one's going to get traded in their prime, really. So, this is
mm,
a aspect of sports that I miss as an
yeah.
NFL person.
It's
For
fun as like a it's fun as like a sports nerd, and from a guy like almost like liking video game sports perspective. It's like
yeah,
in real life. It's kind of like like I think for some people it's like they're kind of just. I used to get really sick of all the online. You look for like a trade rumor. It's like this theoretical pick of moving. Those get pretty annoying, but like it's like people care more about uh these trades way more than the games, which is
yeah.
insane.
No, I
Um,
mean, I know you're like me. You've spent many hours in MLB The Show or 2K, just
but
like
no, no idea what
trade.
you're
No,
talking.
no idea.
Yes.
Not just
Yeah,
wheeling and dealing and building your
I
ideal
got into
team.
it again recently. I was doing one where like it's like at night, and I'm like getting water and like snacks. I'm like, all right, I really got to figure out how I'm gonna move this.
So that's what Aaron, also part of Wicked Sports. He says I got to check out Football Manager because that's all the game is. Is
Oh
just
yeah. Hey, if since we're on, no, I have heard about that, and I was one of my friends was telling me about it when I got into a 2K1 once. But with the 2K eras now, one thing that is really cool, if you do ever want to buy the game for super cheap, is you can start from the Magic and Bird era, and they'll bring in all of the draft classes after that, and you can kind of start from that time, right? You can do fantasy drafts. You can start as one of the teams. They have the Steph Curry era, right? Like right when Steph is drafted. They have the Jordan era, kind of in between that. They have the Jordan era, Kobe era. Then they have a LeBron era, then a Steph era. Uh,
That's
I
pretty
think,
fun.
yes,
We could maybe make a video of like you know,
I was
whenever
actually
the Celtics were in like a bad spot, like before they traded for the big three, how could we reconstruct like a better,
we
you
could
know?
do that. You could do stuff like we could actually do like the era with so we could start from the Jordan era with the Celtics, and kind of look at when they got instead of like, they got Antoine Walker. I mean, that draft class is insane. I think that's the one with like Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant,
Hmm,
Stojakovic, a few Allen Iverson.
that is crazy.
Yeah, a few of those draft classes, man, are nuts.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, Ryan, anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Oh no, not currently, Brian.
All right. Well, for anyone else, this is of course we get sports. We got sports videos, especially this last week. We got all kinds of sports videos coming out. I'll probably do another tomorrow, just kind of talking about the Super Bowl, giving my picks, giving maybe like what winning for the Chiefs would mean, what winning for the Eagles would mean, and all the various players attached to each. Um, and then on Sunday, are you still free? Do you want to hop on? We're gonna do a betting stream, right?
Oh hell yeah, yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably not be around till like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock,
Okay,
but
that's fine.
after that, I'm pretty freed up.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be like right before the game, so that'll
All right,
work.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, out. Yeah, so you, Alex, and I'll see if anyone else wants to join us, cook up some bets, have some
Oh,
fun.
absolutely. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we gotta trying to get that. Maybe I'll look at for our ESPN balance. Past couple days and kind of checked out from it, but I'll look at some bets tonight, see if we can get our $200 up in ESPN off. I think like what 10, $20 each. See if we can get that to 300 by Sunday.
yeah, and I'm definitely gonna put a dumbass like bet on Travis Kelsey to win the Super Bowl MVP, just because it
Uh,
feels like it's gonna be some bullshit like that. Some Disney
that's one that
bullshit
could really pay off or really like blow
that
up.
just blow up. Yeah,
I just
but it
love
was
it.
like 15 to 1 odds, so I was like, oh, maybe.
I mean, what the Mahomes one is probably horrible.
It was like plus 250, so
Oh, that's
it's not bad.
put $20 on
It
that.
it's probably worth putting, money on both.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I'll put $20 on that for sure.
yeah,
At 250.
yeah. Spoilers for the stream. I'm thinking the Chiefs are gonna win the Super Bowl. How shocking of a
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah, I feel like it's just one of those ones where people just keep being like, "Oh, well, let's keep going the other way." And it's like, I mean, you and me did that with, our kind of dumb balance right now, just because you were literally just like the Chiefs, and I was like, "Yeah, that makes perfect sense."
Listen, I would never bet against Brady, and now Mahomes is in that same like
Yeah,
stratosphere.
I just don't.
I'm not doing it. Like,
Yeah,
you'll just get pissed and you'll lose money, and then you'll be like, "Fuck Patrick Mahomes, I hate him." When
he's
really
even a
you're just, like,
different type of
jealous.
one too, because it's like Brady would put out was despite not being known as a numbers guy early, like would put up
Mhm.
these crazy numbers, and like Mahomes, it doesn't even always look pretty, but they just win.
He's just a winner. He's just
Yeah.
fucking he's so clutch. Anytime his team needs a clutch score, he just does it. Like, it's nothing. It's crazy, you know? Like, I thought Brady was like that too, but Mahomes is even more like that. Like, if you look at the numbers, it's so insane. So, that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to the Super Bowl. Last hurrah for the NFL season before we get into the draft, and I guess I try to make content out of spring football. We'll see how that goes, but no, it'll be a lot of basketball, a lot of hockey, and a lot of baseball. I think maybe we could like have a good between like maybe you, Rhett. I know Chris and Jack are also into baseball. Maybe we
Yeah, I
can
would love to.
cobble together or something.
I was gonna say, I can get into baseball a little bit. I would love to get back into it a little
Me too.
more. Yeah, I love baseball. It can be very fun. I'd have to look at the Red Sox right now. I don't really.
Yeah,
know.
we got to sit down with Rhett and be like, all right, give us the lowdown on where the Red Sox are right now and what the expectations are for this season.
I don't really think there's much. I think the
Yeah.
expectations are we're just going to be disappointed by management. They're not going to really bust out for these big players, but then they did weird shit. Like I had some really good points, like getting rid of the GM, getting rid of that GM, Kyle Bloom. Like, why not just let him do his thing if you're not going to make these big swings? Like,
Yeah.
you
I don't
know.
know.
Yeah, it was. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, look forward to that. Main channel, Wicked Good Everything. I just did a news video, on video game news earlier in the week, and then came out this morning an episode where I talk about the Buffy revival. Ryan, as you know, I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. I'd say one of the biggest Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans on the internet. I have the podcast, The Sunny Day Review. And there was news this week that they're doing a revival of Buffy on Hulu, which has me very conflicted because I do think it ended like really well for a show. And sometimes I'm very trepidatious when it comes to going back to the well. Sometimes it's better to just leave, shows ended. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So go check out that video if that sounds interesting to you. And of course, our podcasting channel for all of our podcasts that aren't sports related is Better Radio. Traders New episode of the Traders tonight, which means new episode of Meet You at Breakfast, our Traders recap podcast tomorrow. Other than that, Ryan, thank you so much for your time.
Brian, thank you for having me.
And we'll see you all in the next one.